Whoa. What an end to the group stage. Group Z was insane. Group H had a lovely surprise. My goodness. First of all, fellas, the draw is coming Monday, and I will be live streaming to react to that with you guys. So if you're up for it, I'll see you there. We'll be incredibly early my time, but I have to see it. Also, I'll have my reaction to my group stage predictions out tomorrow. Let's just say that this year was unpredictable, and I absolutely prefer that. Who wants everything to go as you think it will? And finally, shout out to OneFootball who sponsored this video. Did you know that you can watch Serie A matches live in the OneFootball app for free if you live in the United Kingdom or Ireland? So in addition to all of the things that OneFootball already does incredibly well, transfer trackers, breaking news as it happens, match highlights, interviews, a customizable news feed, etc. On top of all of that, they also stream matches live for free directly in the app. This coming weekend, if you're in the UK or Ireland, you can watch AC Milan versus Spezia right in the app, and plenty of other leagues like La Liga, Liga Portugal, and more are offered at different times throughout the season as well. But if you're outside of the UK or Ireland, there are still tons of free football matches to watch within the app from around the world, from multiple continents, man. It's amazing. You can find these offerings in the Discover section of the app, as you can see here. You can set stream reminders. It's honestly a really sick evolution of the app. And like I said, they still have all the other great features, and with the World Cup coming, you'll want to be in the know. So use the link in the description for a free download of OneFootball now. Okay, champions time. A couple of matches in Group A that were played to simply see who would finish 1 and 2 and who would finish 3 and 4. Nobody was jumping from 3 to 2 or anything like that. Ajax went away to Rangers, having previously beat them 4-0 at home, so for any change to happen, Rangers would have had to better that scoreline, and they didn't. Ajax win 3-1 there with goals from Berghuis, Kudus, and Conceição, while James Tavernier, I always say Tavernier, he got the consolation goal for Rangers. That was their second of the group stage. They conceded 22. As for Liverpool versus Napoli at Anfield, Liverpool's strange season continues. It's not as though Napoli fielded a weakened side or anything, so take nothing away from Liverpool, who won 2-0 on the night with goals from Salah and Nunez. Nunez with the easiest goal of his life. Salah could say the same. The similarities between the two goals was actually hilarious, both from corners, headers that are saved on the line by Meret, only for Nunez and Salah to clean up the rebounds. Interested to see how Napoli rebound themselves now that they have lost a match. So a good morale booster for Liverpool as they end Napoli's unbeaten run. It's finally come to an end at 18 matches, but that win wasn't enough to take first place. Napoli in first, Liverpool in second, Ajax down to the Europa League, and Rangers can focus on domestic matters. Focus on the domestics, not those kinds of domestics. Huge credit to FC Porto, who absolutely dominated Atletico Madrid. Atleti, for their part, looked like a team that has no idea what they want to be in this moment, but even beyond that, Porto were fantastic. They looked like they could score for fun, and perhaps if Ivan Nilsson knew how to finish, they would have had plenty more goals in this one. He wasn't the only one that was misfiring, though. João Felix and Griezmann got the start, and they both looked completely isolated from the rest of their team. When Felix was pressing, Griezmann would jog. When they did have an opportunity, which there weren't too many, Diogo Costa would be all over it. I mean, the expected goals in this one, FC Porto outperformed them times 3. 2.77 for Porto, 0.83 for Atleti. Taremi and Eustáquio with the goals. I mean, even Marcano scored Atleti's goal as he headed it over his keeper accidentally. It was a weird one. 2-1 Porto. And so with Leverkusen and Club Brugge finishing in a goalless draw, the final standings actually see Porto take the top of the group with 1 point over Club Brugge, the team that secured their place in the next round, which it feels like ages ago that they did that. As things played out, Atletico needed at least a draw in order to get them to Europa League, and they are left out of Europe completely for the first time in 15 years, I believe. Crazy. Leverkusen, despite being pretty lifeless all season, they find their way into the Europa League somehow. They tripped and fell over the finish line, basically. All of the matches in Group C were dead rubbers. Bayern could have lost 100-0 to Inter if they wanted to, and nothing would have changed. But of course, they won, because they're probably one of the top teams in Europe at this moment, based on form. On skill, we already know they are. Earlier in the season, when they were tripping up domestically a little bit, they're on it now though, man. They've caught form, just like Sadio Mane nearly caught this strike from Nico Barella, but no penalty, says the referee. Why? Too easy, we want something more controversial, right? When it's that cut and dry, it's no fun. Lengthy VAR reviews for the win, fellas. No, but seriously, I truly don't understand that. Again, no changes would have been made in the table at all, so it's ultimately meaningless, thankfully, but it's still bizarre to see this kind of thing. Benjamin Pavard scored and dabbed, which is also bizarre to see that kind of thing. People still do that, while Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting also scored that 6 consecutive matches that he has scored in now. Who would have thought that he would be the heir to Lewandowski's crown? Speaking of Lewandowski, he didn't feature for the Barca boys as they went away to Victoria Plzeňa. A nice 4-2 win for them as they played a heavily rotated squad, given they knew their fate already. Ansu Fati was misfiring, unfortunately. He could have had a couple of goals in this one, but Ferran Torres grabbed a couple of goals in this one. Rafinha with a couple of assists. Alonso and Pablo Torre with the others for Barcelona. For Victoria, Thomas Shori scored a brace against Barcelona, which will be something he never forgets for the rest of his life. And that's ultimately what Victoria will be leaving the Champions League with. Great memories of the San Siro, Camp Nou, Allianz Arena. I mean, the results were horrible for them, but still, I'd rather go to those places and have that sort of experience and lose than to never get that chance at all. Anyway, way too much time spent on a group that boasted meaningless matches. Bayern win 6 of 6 while conceding 2 goals. Insane. Inter gets second. Barca are Europa bound, and Victoria are going to just be chilling in Czechia. Group D was the most insane group of them all. I don't know how to coherently explain what happened in this group without my own brain getting scrambled, so we'll start match by match, and then I have a graphic for you at the end. Basically, whoever won their match was going through in this group, and so Tottenham went away to the Stade Velodrome, away to Marseille, and didn't really perform well at all, but came away with a 2-1 win. However, it was very, very close. I mean, the header that Sead Kolasinac missed right at the death, which would have made it 2-1 Marseille, my god. As the commentator said in my feed, it was harder to miss that opportunity than it was to convert it. Truly a terrible miss. I mean, I hope he's doing all right, because you'll never forget something like that. That's going to haunt you. Then, of course, Tottenham went in the other direction minutes later, and Højbjerg smashed a stunner off of the post and in. 2-1 Tottenham, and they were through. Sporting, I swear, the bottle job syndrome must have transferred from Tottenham to Sporting when they played each other in this group. Some sort of Freaky Friday swap. The amount of times these dudes fumbled the bag was just ridiculous in this group. There was the 2 matches against Marseille, which included the Adan game. Then there were all the opportunities they had against Tottenham to win. And then at home against Eintracht Frankfurt, all they needed was a draw in this match. And they lost after leading 1-0. But I guess that's what happens when you kind of invite pressure onto yourself so often, especially when you are a Portuguese team playing against a German team. Portuguese teams just cannot handle German teams. They always get the last laugh, even, or perhaps especially, at the international level, man. 2 goals from Eintracht Frankfurt gave them the win, one from Daichi Kamada, who's in great form, and the other from Kolo Muani, who's in great form also. And here's that graphic I was speaking about. Just look at this. Up until the 73rd minute, Sporting were still going through, only for it to get scrambled again. It was all over the place. Tottenham and Eintracht Frankfurt through, Sporting down to the Europa League, and Marseille are out. Chelsea got their long-awaited revenge on Dinamo, as their place in first was all but set, wasn't it? Raheem Sterling got a goal of which he was in desperate need of, as his form has been of great debate lately. Would you look at that? Denis Zakaria does indeed exist, and he scored on his Chelsea debut. I'm so happy for the guy. It's been tough for him at Chelsea thus far, and while he was grimacing a bit before going off, it could just be the lack of game time catching up to him, but he looked good in this game. Speaking of, absolutely gutted for Ben Chilwell, who pulled up with what looks like a hamstring injury. You could see him and Mount speaking after the game, where Mount asked what happened and Chilwell replied, "It popped." That's rough. Right before the World Cup, it looks like it's going to be another lengthy layoff for him. In the other match, it was a winner-takes-all scenario. Well, a draw would have been enough for Milan at home against RB Salzburg, but they got an emphatic win in what was probably their most important match of the season so far, and one of their better performances. Last season, they missed out on the Champions League knockout round, but a masterful performance from Olivier Giroud, who scored twice and got an assist, led them past Salzburg 4-0. Rade Krunic and Junior Macias with the other goals for Milan. So Chelsea take first, Milan in second, Salzburg drop into third in Europa League, in third, I should say, and Dinamo Zagreb are in fourth. Real Madrid welcomed Celtic. Like I said, Celtic were already out. I said last week, I should say. Their fans just got that cool experience of going away to the Bernabeu for a nice away day, and Real Madrid did not treat them nicely. They were not good hosts. 2 penalties opened things, converted by Modric and Rodrigo, and in the second half, Marco Asensio continued his renaissance at Real Madrid of late, as he made it 3-0. Vinny got his contractually obliged goal contribution, as Fede set him up, and Fede got one himself. Shout out to Jota for giving the Celtic supporters a memory to take away from the Bernabeu at least. 5-1 there. RB Leipzig and Shakhtar was the real grudge match, as whoever won this one was going through to the knockouts, while the loser was condemned to, well, taking on the incredibly competitive-looking Europa League. And there was never really a chance for Shakhtar in this match. A dominant display from RB Leipzig as Nkunku gave them the lead and then did this balloon celebration. In the end, it's for a cute reason. He did that for his son, as he promised he would do that for him after his next goal. He kept his word. In the second half, they ran away as Shakhtar pushed for an equalizer, only to see the match get further and further out of sight for them. Andre Silva with a strange goal at the near post, a bit of a messy one. Dominic Szoboszlai rounded the keeper and finished well to make it 3-0. And finally, Dani Olmo had a brilliant strike taken away from him as it was ruled as an own goal. I guess they deemed that touch from the defender was enough to divert it in, even though it looked like it was going in anyways. I don't know. In real time, it just looked like a sick curling strike. RB Leipzig will advance in second behind Real Madrid. Shakhtar continued their run in Europa League. Celtic will be dealing with domestics alongside Rangers. Group G was all but set. There was a slight chance that Sevilla could overtake Dortmund if everything went their way. Copenhagen beat Dortmund and Sevilla beat Man City. That's what they needed. They needed to beat Man City by a lot. And that's asking a lot, isn't it? Well, City negated the other match by beating Sevilla 3-1, but it was a bit of a late show. Rafa Mir gave Sevilla the lead in the 31st minute, only for Julian Alvarez to set up academy product Rico Lewis in the second half. That made it 1-1. Then, with De Bruyne and Bernardo coming on to help the fellas out, De Bruyne set up Alvarez for 2-1, and Alvarez set up Mahrez for 3-1. Happy for Alvarez, man. He sort of became the forgotten man with all of the Haaland success so early in the season, so it's nice to see him get some shine, isn't it? But despite the result not having any bearing on anything at all, Borussia Dortmund drew Copenhagen. Thorgan Hazard getting the goal for Dortmund, Haraldsson for Copenhagen. Here's a reminder of the standings. City in first, Dortmund in second, Sevilla are going home to the Europa League, and Copenhagen are chilling in Denmark. I cannot believe what I witnessed in Group H. I was watching in disbelief in the entire second half. Let's start with Juventus though. Juve hosted PSG, and while PSG have players that can make a little magic here and there, Juve seemingly were playing pretty well. I mean, most of my focus was on Benfica, of course, but whenever I looked over, especially in that second half, Juve looked pretty good. Nuno with a nice goal for PSG as he came off the bench in the second half. Mbappe, he looked dangerous, and he got a goal in the first half, while Bonucci scored for Juve in the first half as well. The best part for Juve though, seeing Fede come back. Federico Chiesa, he's been away for a year, and he came on and he looked great. He really looked dangerous at times out there. 2-1 loss for Juve. Now, Benfica went away to Maccabi Haifa, and my God, what an atmosphere in that stadium, man. Credit to them, they really tried to play attacking football, which leaves areas to exploit for their opponents, as they found out against both PSG and, well, against Benfica in this game. But hey, after the first half, they were sitting at 1-1. Gonzalo Ramos scored for Benfica before he and Orsnes were hauled off in the 31st minute. That seemed a little bit puzzling, but who am I to question Lord Schmidt, right? In the second half, with it being 1-1 in the other match as well, Maccabi knew that if they beat Benfica, they would go to the Europa League ahead of Juventus. All they had to do was get a better result than Juventus. So a draw would have been enough for Maccabi in the end. But before we even got to that point, Benfica came alive. First, it was one of the first half subs, Petar Musa, with a diving header, 2-1 Benfica there. 10 minutes later, Grimaldo scored from yet another free kick. This man is on fire with the free kicks this season. 4 minutes later, Neres dishes to Rafa. Rafa finishes 4-1 Benfica. It's over for Maccabi. Juve will go through, but then we started to dream a bit. Why? Because if it stayed at 2-1 PSG in the other match, if Benfica could score 2 more goals, they would go top of the group via rule number 7 of the tie-breaking rules, which looks at away goals scored. In the 88th minute, Benfica make it 5-1 with some sharp passing. Holy shit. Even the official Champions League Twitter was getting in on the fun, tweeting that Benfica was 1 goal away from finishing top of their group. And then, with a goal that was reminiscent of Eder scoring against France in Euro 2016's final, João Mario smashed one past the keeper, 6-1 Benfica, and Benfica top Group H ahead of PSG, and their millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of euros spent on building their squad. Oh, sorry, I'm proud of Benfica, man. Benfica finished in first, which is not what I anticipated. For those who know, I anticipated that they would finish in second, but hell, I'll take first any day, my friend. The way Roger Schmidt has this team playing, Benfica remain one of 2 teams that plays in the Champions League to be unbeaten across all competitions. Benfica and PSG are the only 2 teams that are still undefeated across all competitions. It's crazy. They drew 1-1 in each match in which they faced each other. They both beat Maccabi Haifa by 5 goals. It's insane. What Schmidt has achieved is already incredible, but long may it continue. The biggest thing for me is that the rest of the squad is starting to perform. Musa is scoring goals off of the bench. Hell, Chiquinho had one of the best performances I've seen from him in years. Beautiful. Benfica first? What? PSG second, Juve third, down to Europa, and Maccabi in fourth. So guys, last thing on the to-do list. Here are the seeded teams, the group winners here on the left, and the second place sides on the right. So you got to remember, teams from the same group cannot be drawn against each other, nor can teams from the same country be drawn against each other for the round of 16. The draw again is on Monday. I will be streaming that live here with you guys so you can get the live reaction to everything and hang out in the chat with me. Should be fun if you're into that kind of thing. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. My name is Adrian, and I'll see you tomorrow to go over my group stage predictions. Let's see how they went, all right? Ciao.